Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it's an honor to be here. I know the overarching theme is risk, and I live in a world where we deal with risk, which is the world of startups. And starting a business is the most exhilarating thing you'll ever do in your entire life. But the confession is, and what people don't talk about that much, it is that it's also the scariest and loneliest thing you'll ever do. And I think that part of the risk element is what we'd like to talk about today. Please interrupt, ask questions, object, applaud, laugh. My name is Aurore Belfrage. I am Swedish by nationality. My father is half French, born in London, moved to Saudi Arabia as a toddler and came to Sweden at 9. So I speak Swinglish fluently. The career after university was speechwriter, scrap dealer. Stars came and intervened, changed the trajectory of my life into digital and mobile. I've founded and co-founded a few different businesses, and the most well-known business is a company called Wrap, which created mobile gift cards, which was a uber-hyped startup in Stockholm 2011. We raised a total of $26 million without having found a product market fit, which is one of the buzzwords in my startup world. And we were cloned, we opened markets, we closed markets, and we moved to the US. I'd been a tourist in the Middle East all my life after living in Saudi Arabia. And one of those pivotal moments, I was sitting at a dinner party, and someone asked me, so tell me, Aurore, you spend all the time in the Middle East. What does the tech startup scene look like there? I don't know. I hadn't thought of putting my worlds together. Very annoying. I'm a bit of a know-it-all, so the question frustrated me tremendously. Started to find out. Google the Middle East, realizing there's a huge opportunity in terms of startups, tech, engineers, companies. Rallied some corporate money and did a tour of the region for a year and a half, which I called Saluting the Naive and Crazy. And I talked about all the shit that we did at Wrap, and all the crazy stories and mistakes and lessons learned. The opening keynote in Istanbul, Dubai, Amman, Tunis, Erbil in Iraq, after the Caliphate had opened, Doha, Cairo, Riyadh, and Beirut, so 9 hubs in the region. I started by saying, we raised $26 million. The founder of Skype sits on our board. The founder of LinkedIn sits on our board. And then I threw huge numbers at them in terms of downloads and impressions. But that's not the interesting bit. The interesting bit is we built the wrong product. We priced it incorrectly. We sold it to the wrong people. We went into the wrong markets. And I cry a little every day. And my audience was like, what just happened? And then having a very candid conversation about what does it mean to start a business. It is not a straight line between idea and success, which was for me a fantastic 2 years experience, which led to me to do some angel investments and work on a policy level with some of the governments in the region. This was always the slide. If you don't build your dreams, someone else will hire you to build theirs. How many entrepreneurs here? Yay, good. So I'm amongst crazy friends. I want to talk about raising capital before you found traction. Before you found traction, people don't understand. Your mom and papa says, get a proper job. Your friends say, get a proper job. And you're called crazy. I have my mom and papa here, so they've accepted that I'm crazy. But crazy is a stamp of approval, or you can make it a stamp of approval. But raising capital and getting people to understand your journey before you've been validated is really tough. And validation means different things. Either the numbers start growing, people start downloading your applications, they buy your cookies in your bakery, whatever it is that you're selling. But prior to that, it's just you and your idea and your energy and your will to build something. And in that energy that you're projecting in all the sales meetings that you're at, it's very easy for them to go, she's crazy, he's crazy, this is not going to work. And in the tagline that we use is, raising capital is not a picnic, it's a dance. And I think because it's now becoming very commoditized, starting a tech business, raising capital, there's steps you take. There's a seed round, there's an angel round, you do Series A, Series B, etc. And there's buzzword galore. I'll talk about that in a second. It's easy to end up in a world that feels very formulaic. These are the steps you're supposed to take to run a business, as opposed to, I'm breaking boundaries, my cookie store or my application or my piece of software is going to disrupt and change. And I'd like to look past some of the formulaic steps, 1, 2, 3, in raising capital, which are my observations, and I'd love to get your thoughts on my observations. Let's make no mistake, this is a huge opportunity. One number is 14 trillion in terms of transformational growth opportunity in all sectors. Communications, travel, automotive, health, government, education, healthcare. I can go on, and hopefully you can feel the opportunity, and some of that can come from businesses that you've created. It's not that everything that we have currently doesn't work. I think it's an important part to say. We're going to build on the legacy that we have of decades, centuries of learnings, and we have the opportunity to rethink. Rethink how organizations, how systems should be built. That demands courage, and a little degree of crazy, because you need to free yourself from existing structures. What was the stat the other day? In the IoT, Internet of Things, 2020, 25 billion items will be connected. Mind-boggling. And the amount of things that are connected to the cloud that can be measured. And I think it's important also to remember that innovation is borderless, which means that we could do it here. It doesn't have to happen in Silicon Valley. And my message in the Middle East was, it can happen in Amman, it can happen in Cairo, it can happen in Jeddah. So I think it's important to talk about the fact that this hyped startup world is a circus. I am here invited because the startup tech world is a circus. I currently work for EQT Ventures. In Stockholm today, we're portrayed in the media as one of the hubs of the startup ecosystem. And you talk about Berlin, and you talk about London, and you talk about Silicon Valley, and there's accelerators and incubators every single day. Corporates are getting onto the bandwagon. Everyone's keen to be part of the innovative story. Mom and Papa, who are here, who've called me crazy, still probably don't exactly know what I do, but they're now proud because there's a context of where this is a legit business. The important thing to understand in that circus is that there's a lot of hot air. There's a lot of buzzword galore. There's a lot of preachings on how it's done. It's like almost sect-like. And you could go to conferences after conferences thinking that you're part of something, building a business. But in reality, you're just eating free sandwiches and talking about stuff. And I'd like to salute those people that potentially don't go to these startup conferences, because it's easy to fall for the vanity play. Just to give you a little insight in how it works in the Middle East, there it's even more important, because we are a slightly more mature market here in Sweden when it comes to tech and the startup scene, which means that when someone creates a business, I was about to say successful business, because prior to creating a successful business, you create a business. And people go crazy, and especially if you're a woman. So these poor girls who've started a business are put on the front page of the magazine. Fortune 500 in the Middle East, you're a success. And she will go, I'm a success. In reality, she's just started. And what happens psychologically when you're put on the front of the magazine, your mom and papa are suddenly proud, but you forget to build a business. And you've got similarities here. So it's important to give people space and time to build stuff. I'm a firm believer, though, in the power of vanity, but you should use it towards investors. You should use it towards media and not fall for it yourself. And I'm not saying this from a point of view of preaching, I'm saying this in a point of view, I have fallen for the vanity piece, and I sincerely hope that you'll tweet about this. But I think when raising $26 million before you have a product that works, and the media hails you as superstars, you actually think you are a superstar. And then the media hails you as a disaster, and you actually think you are a disaster. I am not going to be a millionaire. Both of these scenarios are horrendous because you're not building your business. You're thinking about if I'm a rock star or not. FOMO, hashtag FOMO, I think is a very funny one. Fear of missing out. And especially when it comes to raising capital, there's an important part of the circus where you need to create some buzz around yourself towards investors prior to traction, just understanding the landscape. And then it's about attracting the right type of investors, advisors to help you build your business. And in the formulaic world that I was just mentioning, there's a script. The way you write a pitch is that you identify a pain, you identify how you're going to solve it, you establish credibility with the team that you've created, and you calculate the total addressable market, blah, blah, blah. All of that is true. In order to raise capital, in order to attract attention, you need to explain your business. If you go down the accelerator, incubator, circus route, they will ask you to do a demo and a demo day. And you'll stand 3 minutes and you'll present perfectly scripted in an order of 20, 25 companies. And very important investors will sit and they will take notes and they will ask very important questions afterwards. And then they will offer you capital, potentially. For me, I find it mind-boggling. It depicts investor and founder as unequal, as if the investor is in charge of that conversation. Not true. Every investor has raised capital and has investors on their end that they need to show profit to. Therefore, they need to invest in good companies and good teams. It is teamwork and a partnership. And the way that we've structured it, Dragon's Den, just the name makes people think that it's the investors that are in charge. I wouldn't say it's a complete other way around, but it's an equal partnership. And if you, as founding teams, play along in that conveyor belt, and I see it a lot, act like, let the investors be important, it's harder to do the FOMO game. The FOMO game, fear of missing out, happens when you loop yourself out of that. My company is going to disrupt, that's an annoying buzzword, my company is going to transform education via this and that, and having a one-to-one conversation, creating a true partnership. The other thing is what happens in the different realms of cultural context. The US is different in the sense that they're slightly more mature, there's a different type of smorgasbord of investors, and if you ask them, most of them will be annoyed that the worst investment that they've made is the ones that they didn't make. It's a completely different mindset in terms of missing an opportunity. You want to get in, you want to get with the good founders. And it's the founding teams that decides which capital they will choose to take on board. And here, the language is different. My business has potential, it could work, given 1, 2, 3, etc. Creating doubt. But it's a cultural context, so we have to play it according to what works here as well. But one of the most important things that I'd like to talk about is risk. As in, not the Excel sheet risk of my portfolio or the company that I'm building. On a philosophical, fundamental, intellectual level, how do people handle risk? I think we pretend that we have an appetite for risk, and we think that it's a scale. My thesis is that risk is binary. I don't know any smart, wealthy investor that thinks that he or she is taking a risk in an investment. I think he or she, in every investment scenario, believes. And it's a gut belief. You're cool. Your business is interesting. That opportunity is huge. I am onto something. I'm not taking a risk. I'm calculating it from an Excel point of view to validate, and I'm saying stuff to mitigate the opportunity if shit goes down the line, and you're not as cool as you say you are. But in reality, when I've taken the decision, I don't see it as risk, which means that if we think my observation has validity, when you pitch to an investor, you therefore need to mitigate everything that might make him or her go no. Because it's really easy to go no. Every little doubt will put you on the other end, not move you along the scale. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs think that people are prepared to take risks, but they're not. And every piece of capital that goes out of my wallet into someone else reflects me, reflects my decision-making process, and especially if it's a field that I'm supposed to know. I can't afford it not to work, so I have to believe. And I think that tweaking your communications to fit that has huge validity and success. But it's a game, and you have to play and dance. I think, you know what? Raising capital is like flirting. You cannot give it up all on the first date. You have to dance a little, step back. I want, maybe, I'm talking to someone else, etc. Basic, fantastic statement. You cannot do epic shit with basic people, period. That statement is usually meant about the team. I will only build a business or be friends with or play with people that I genuinely like and that push and think, etc., complement me or fit my personality. I think in this context, it's always important to talk about it in terms of your investors. We're back to where I started. You, as a founding team, you're onto something. You are the asset. You are the thing everyone wants to be a part of. Everyone wants a part of your ass, right? That means you choose. But you have to understand immediately, before traction, before they understand how cool you are, that you choose your investors. And it's really difficult to say no to money. It is really difficult to say no to money. But having integrity and having the guts to go, you know what, I don't like you. You don't have to justify it. You don't have to explain it. You don't have to tell him or her that you don't like them. But if your gut tells you this is not going to work, I promise you, it is not going to work. It is a marriage. So after the dating, you then marry your investor and you are stuck with him or her. And the ones that have been cool enough to go, no, have always been pleased and proud about that. Because it's too intense, it's too much hard work, it's too scary, it's too lonely to be in bed with someone that doesn't understand your vision or is just in it for the money for the wrong reasons. I will take the last 2 minutes to tell you about a product that I'm building, which means the pain that I've just identified. Raising capital is no picnic, it's a circus. It's really hard to cold call angel investors, and the professional, successful investors have huge deal flow, which means getting through that, doing the FOMO play, understanding risk is a challenge. And we at EQT Ventures want to provide a platform to make the earlier stage an easier stage. We've called it Together. I think it's cheesy. I like it. The sign up is together.eqtventures.com, and basically it's a matchmaking platform between early stage companies and angel seeds and micro funds, anything pre-Series A, which means pre you have traction, pre you're a success, you're still in the phase where people call you crazy. The idea is, as a startup, you sign up, you tell the world what you're doing, your team, what you're building. I'm going to force you to make a short film. Hi, my name is Aurore. I built a product called Together. That little intro film, I think, that's my assumption in this startup, is what's going to make it easier for angels to click and connect to you. An app is being built, which is phenomenal. I'm back with techies building an app, loving it. Will be released to angels in Sweden as a test market in 2 weeks, which means 6, but I'm still hoping for 2. And then opened up to a bigger group of angel investors. Do we have any angel investors? No one. Brilliant. Okay, sign up as founders. And the idea is then to find product market fit, to use the buzzword of the industry, and then roll it out across Europe and see what we can do to make a fragmented European market slightly less fragmented. If you talk to an investor here in Stockholm, when he, which is the reality, gets an opportunity, he has 5 dudes he calls. And that phenomena is the same in Paris and Barcelona and London. And I'm hoping instead of having just 5 dudes you call and you have very small markets, we can open it up and we can find investors for cool Stockholm companies from, I don't know, Finland. Just we don't have to go that far. Gothenburg, but potentially even London or Amsterdam, Barcelona. See the image? Investors meet founders. I think what we want to do is cut out a lot of the nonsense and be a lubricant in the system. I get the question, why are you doing this? I think it's important to address it. We're doing it from EQT Ventures' point of view as a market initiative. And we believe that if founders and angels think that we're delivering a cool service, that we become a preferred partner in a later stage. And my personal bet is, if right investors find the right companies, the success rate increases, because it's so damn difficult, that hopefully the pie becomes bigger. But we won't be able to measure it, and I won't be able to take any credit for it, but that's my mission. I'm going to leave you with, is the dominant company in your category digital? It is not a yes and no question, it's a not yet. Yalla, there's stuff to do, there's companies to be built, there's software to be created, there's value to be created. And when you have a cool business, sign up and I'll see if I can support you in finding angel capital. Thank you.